Well, good afternoon. I'm so glad that you have joined us for a conversation. My name is Principal Edward Gordon.
And my name is Kerry Martin.
And at this time, we're just going to share a little bit more about ourselves. I am an educator with over 20 years of experience. I've started off my career as a music teacher in Patterson Public Schools, New Jersey. And then after that, I served about 15, 16 years as a school leader in charter schools as well as traditional public schools, both in urban school districts and suburban school districts as well. And I'm just excited right now that I have an opportunity to coach and mentor aspiring school leaders and current school leaders to really help them on their journey. So that has been my career and the work that I've been doing in education over the last 20 years. Kerry, can you
Awesome.
tell us, the audience, a little bit more about your career?
Yeah, so my name is Kerry Martin. So I have worked in education in various forms, for the last, almost 20 years now. Initially starting off as a mentor with the university, then going on to a career as a high school teacher in the UK, also head of department there. And then in transitioning to my life here in Canada, I've been working as an academic coach and also as a learning strategist at a number of colleges and universities here in the Greater Toronto area. And in addition to that, I've also developed a program through Achieve on Purpose where I'm working as a personal growth coach, so helping people to achieve their best in their areas of designation and purpose.
Very good, very good. And that just ties into our topic for today, career growth. And I have a question for you, Kerry. So why should educators be focused on their career growth?
I think that really it's really about trying to maximize your potential and your impact. It's not to say that if you start off as an elementary teacher at age 23, 24, and you're still an educator as an elementary teacher in your 50s or 60s, it's not to say that, that hasn't been career growth, but it's really about how do we continue to develop ourselves and position ourselves that we can continue to have impact, because we know that times change, educational standards change, the students we work with change. So as a result, we also have to evolve. But I'd also say on a personal note that for me, the standard has always been what's your feeling on a Monday morning, on a wet, cold Monday morning? What's getting you out of bed? And to have something to focus on in terms of your own personal growth, how you can say, I'm developing, I'm shaping myself as a leader, I'm reaching more people, I'm motivating my students. I think to have those things to aspire for, I think it helps to keep us sharp. What about yourself, Edward?
Yeah, so as you were thinking and what you were saying about that passion, what do you wake up and that excitement every morning? And for for myself as well as for other educators, it's about the fact that having influence and making a difference in their school environments. And when you think about that career growth, you have to uh, take care of yourself and really pour into yourself so that you can be able to support others. And the image that came to my mind is about, when you're on a plane, they always talk about if there's an emergency, put the oxygen mask over your face first, and then put it over the face of your neighbor to support them. So you have to be able to have a situation where you're pouring yourself, thinking about what are those skills that I need to improve upon so I can continuously be effective for the students or even the other administrators that I'm supporting or, and my work. And then from there, getting involved in different programs, training, and professional development experiences where you're growing so that you can continuously have new information, new insight, new knowledge, new wisdom to be able to share with those that you are serving. So that is definitely what I see in terms of why educators should definitely be focused on career growth and also professional development so that they can always have an impact for the students and also the school communities that they're serving.
Absolutely. And as you were speaking, something that came to mind was how ironic would it be that we're working with students, whether in elementary school, high school, college, university, and our whole role is to help them grow and develop. And then we ourselves are not doing it. I think there's something to be said about our role as educators, is that it's not just about depositing curriculum, but we also need to model what we're trying to encourage the students to do. So they should be able to come to us and say, okay, sir, professor, whatever it may be, what are you working on this year? And we should be able to have a response for that. So I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on how and when an educator should assess their career progression?
Yes. So in thinking about that, I believe that it should be this reflection at least at a minimum every 6 months and also every year. So that you're looking at, in fact, yes, you start off a school year. Yes, this is what I want to work on. This is what I want to improve upon. This is where I want to be by the end of the year. But if you don't have these checkpoints throughout the year, that you are looking at that midway point in terms of, all right, did I do professional development around this area in terms of how to better connect with my students, how to engage the learners? And then you wait until the end of the year, you went through these 10 to 12 months of the year, and you have not made that increase in your knowledge and wisdom to be impactful for your students and also your school environment. So when I think about when we should definitely look at our progression and the work that we're doing, I would say definitely look at it in terms of one, where do you want to be by the end of the year, but also have that checkpoint after the midway point in terms of what did I do for this half of the year, and also do not be afraid about resetting. Okay, some
Mm,
things happen. Sometimes situations happen. Sometimes your assignment might even change within the school. You're assigned to teach this particular grade level, and it transition. You were assigned to be a vice principal at this particular building, and the principal in their building resigned, and you're switching right now you're an acting principal. Things happen in education, but when if you have a plan of where you want to go, you can go back and assess how you're making the progress towards that, and then be able to make some adjustments so that you're back on the path that you want to do to be successful and have that impact for your students in your school environment. How about you? When do you think about um, assessing your career growth in the path?
I agree with you. I mean, I just believe that there needs to be a regular assessment of what's going on. And I think I agree with everything you said. I would just add that it's also important because we often miss the opportunities of growth that we've actually gone through. That if you look at the last year, for example, with COVID, and you see how much the education profession has evolved in the course of 1 year. I know where I live, it was projected that it would take 10 years for us as a province to put as many of our courses online as we have. And it was done within 2 months. So even those areas where the teams that I work with a lot of undergrad students, and they've had to take on greater levels of leadership, analysis, looking at different platforms, looking at different ways to engage learners in a virtual space. If we are waiting until the end of the year to review, oh, how did I do this year? Believe me, you're going to forget so many of the intricate details of how you grew. So I know with the students that I work with at university, I say to them, you know what, maintain an ongoing portfolio. Your portfolio isn't something that you just put together at the end of the year, but keep a working document, whether it's a physical document or whether it's on your Google Drive, but keep a regular review of what did I do this month? How did I change? What did I add? What meeting did I attend? Because believe me, I'm sure you're going to be amazed at how much you actually grew, but we need to track that.
Yeah, that's a very good points in terms of the tracking about how we have grown and also some of the professional development experiences. So I will just tell you, in full transparency, I've been in a situation where I've been in a was in a district for 9 years, and just going to work every day, improving the school as a school leader, but really have not, I did not keep track of what I was doing, what I was learning over these 9 years, what professional development experiences that I go through. What about the growth that I was should have been documented in terms of how we as a school and the team and the school community improved our school culture and academic achievement. It got to a point after 9 years I wanted to transition to another school district, But that old style of resume in terms of just bulleting your responsibilities, that's not what employers are looking for. They want to see they know what the role of a assistant principal and a principal is, okay? But
mm,
what did you do in that role, okay? What
mm,
professional development experiences did you go through that you're going to be able to bring into this new district? Also, what is the growth? What in terms of student discipline referrals? How did you have an impact over those years that you were there? In terms of student attendance, how did your student attendance improve while you were there? In
mm,
terms of the academic achievements for literacy and math, how did it improve? That's the data points that you should be tracking and
mm,
journaling, because when it comes time for you to make that transition, either within the same district or in a new district, that is what employers are definitely going to be looking for and want to see. How are you making that impact? Okay, so you just talked about it. It just triggered that thought, and I believe that's going to be a message that should be beneficial for all the educators that are listening to us this afternoon. So, what are some experiences that helped you to navigate your career path?
Interestingly, I think some of the most significant moments were just the points where everything went wrong. It was just let me reevaluate everything. And I think I've spoken to you before about, when I was teaching in the UK. I'd been teaching in one of the largest comprehensive schools in the UK for 7.5 years. And in the UK at that time, I'm not sure if it's the same case now, but at that time, there was a teacher shortage where the government were funding programs and paying for students to study, to prepare, to come into the teaching profession. Then I came to Ontario in Canada, and yeah, there was a teaching surplus. You had to wait to go onto the supply list, and then you could be on the supply list for 6, 7 years before you get a permanent post. So, I've come to Canada, I've got my wife and my 2 young children, and I'm like, how do I get into the profession? And people are telling me to volunteer, and I'm like, I don't have volunteer time. I need money, So that was a really difficult time for me because everything that I knew was changed. And what that forced me to do was to really reevaluate my skill set. And it was at that point that I realized that my resume is incredibly limited. As much as I had depth in my teaching career, it was all to do with teaching high school kids, particularly in social sciences. And when it came to looking for other jobs, I had no experience. So what I had to really do was to really look back at my skill set and say to myself, okay, what are the skills that I've developed and how can I, in a sense, repackage them to create new opportunities? So when I came, I ended up working at the Apple store, and I was doing some training. I was helping people learn to use their Macs and learn to use their iPhones. So while technically it was a retail job, ultimately, from my resume perspective, I was training people. I was developing their skill set. I then used that terminology to then transition me into the college sector, where I was able to get a part-time job as an academic coach, where I was again using training techniques and education experiences to help people transition. Then, as I was in that role, it was part-time. It really wasn't meeting my financial needs. I was like, how do I get a full-time job out of this? So then I went to the campus manager and I was like, have you thought about maybe adding a class? Have you thought about maybe adding some skill development workshops in the community? Oh, we hadn't thought about that. How about you go and have a look at that? So from that, I was able to create a whole new course that was just what I delivered. And then as I did that, I began to get a name in the community, and I began to get a name within the campus and the college community. And then as a result, I was able to put together 2 part-time jobs, so it became a full-time job. And that was the process that I really followed, where it got to the point where the pressures of limitations in terms of the profession, I had to look and say, what else can I do? Now, when I look at my resume now compared to what it was 8, 9 years ago when I first came, my skill set is vastly greater now. Why? It wasn't because I thought, okay, it'd be good to get some more teaching experience at a college level. It'd be good to do some one-on-one coaching. It was like, no, I need to really see where are the pressure points in the community where I can offer? Where are the skill sets that I can develop? And how can I shape them to create opportunities for myself? And I think even now, I've been speaking to educators and students and saying, look, we are in a different market. This is a different market. This is a virtual space. You need to, understand cloud-based technologies. You need to understand how to engage people online. And I think that's what we have to do in our career growth is look at what are the pressure points around us, what are the environmental circumstances, and how can we reshape our experiences and our expertise to be able to offer something and be of service to the people that are around us. What about yourself?
Yes, as you were talking, there's two examples of uh, experiences that I had to go through to really navigate my career path. And one is that, as I told everyone in my introduction, I started off as a music teacher, high school band director, elementary music teacher, and from there I transitioned to be a school leader. So I wanted to say that because there are people aspiring to be school leaders that are music teachers, art teachers, as well as dance teachers, physical education teachers. And yes, you're in a different situation where you're not in the classroom as an elementary teacher, or you're not in the secondary teaching math, algebra, chemistry, and so forth. And yes, you are looked upon a little differently when you go into those roles about, all right, you were a music teacher, band director. What can you tell me about improving my literacy instruction or math instruction? And I understood that. And whenever I had professional development contracted out from my school in reference to literacy or math, I was in the room. Okay, you have to really humble yourself, know exactly where what information you do know. So I was in those literacy trainings, learning right beside my teachers, and they understood I was transparent with it. They knew my background, but they also respected the fact that I was willing to learn about literacy instruction, math instruction, science, social history instruction, because and you need to have that basis to be able to effectively coach and support the teachers that you are providing support to. That's one thing that came across my mind as you were talking. But the second one was after several years of working in school district and in school, it was a time where my career hit a wall and I didn't understand exactly what happened. And when I was reflective during that time period, is because I went throughout my career that period of time without two people in my life, a coach and a mentor. And
Mm,
I will encourage everyone to have both of them in your life. And they are two different people. Okay, a coach is a person as asking you questions and bringing those skills and that awareness out of you that's already inside of you. And then you have a mentor, someone that is farther along the course and the path than you are, that is willing to pour into you, that is accessible. You can call them and they can help you and guide you on your career path. And many people that I talk to have mentors and coaches for different areas of their life. And it wasn't until I understood that and I got a coach and a mentor for me as a school leader, and that's where my career took off. And I was had opportunity to be more impactful for the students and also the other administrators and the staff that I was providing support for. So definitely having those experiences that you said sometimes those dark moments in
mm,
life and in your career, that's when it comes opens up your eyes to a greater awareness of what you really need, where you need to learn, people you need to be around to be able to move you to the next level and be more impactful. So I'm excited that we were both able to share our stories with the listeners. So, just want to ask you, Carrie, what are some of the ways that you have helped educators in their career growth?
I think to be honest, it's just connection points. It really is just trying to interact with whether it's the staff you're leading or whether it's your peers, um, and just talking to them about things that are different than grades and students and curriculum and government funding and everything that's just about, you know, the procedural part of your role. And just, you know, how have you found this year? You know, what were some of the challenges that you faced? How are you feeling about that particular class? You know, thinking a year or two from now, you know, what are some of the things you want to develop? But I think sometimes we limit those conversations to just those end of year professional development designated times. Whereas I think sometimes it's really just about just connecting on a regular basis and helping them to really pinpoint exactly what it is. So, you know, if an educator turns around and says, you know, I want to become a better communicator. Okay, that's great, you know, but let's talk a bit about what that means. You know, are we talking about, you know, your verbal communication? We're talking about your written communication. Are we talking about working with students, working with peers, working with parents? You know, let's pinpoint it and let's sit down and, you know, let's work through a plan and let's set a regular time every couple of months just to check in and see how things are going. I think we just have to move away from just limiting those conversations to those designated end of year meetings, and just having an ongoing dialogue about, you know, what it is that's driving them. What's, again, it's I keep coming back to it. What's their Monday morning wet, cold drive? What's getting them out in the morning? And if you don't have it, that's fine, you know, but let's tap into what is going to get you up on that rainy, wet, cold Monday morning in November. What about yourself?
Yeah. So when I made a decision in 2019 to be a coach and mentor for aspiring school leaders and current principals, that's because, you know, you talk about what wakes you up in the mornings, because I never want any other school leader, aspiring school leader, to go through the experience of me that I went through in terms of hitting that wall in their career and not having a coach and a mentor. So, you know, most recently, the work that I've been doing is that there are some current teachers that are aspiring school leaders, and I've been helping them pass the and prepare for the school leadership licensure assessment, really going through what is on the assessment, how they should the mindset they should have as they are approaching the questions and writing their answers to really be successful on that assessment. And then after you have taken that assessment, having those conversations and coaching opportunities to talk about how to become that educator influence in your school, how to improve, like you said, your communication skills. Because now that you have passed the assessment and you can get certified in various states to be a principal and school leader, there are some skills that you need to have an impact. And from there, you know, my work has been preparing those that have successfully passed the exam to apply for principalships either in their current school district or other school districts. And then once they actually have a principalship, is that ongoing coaching and mentoring, helping them, you know, when they have a new assignment, a new school, helping them with their first 90-day plan. What do you need to do in terms of gathering data about the school and utilizing that data to set up goals and revise the vision and the mission of school? I would say for anyone, if your vision and mission is the same today as it was even a year and a half ago, it's something to think about. With everything
Mm.
that's happened in this world through this pandemic, the way that we should be preparing our students and also preparing our teachers has to have changed,
Yeah.
okay? Because the times have changed, and this pandemic has changed everything around education. So that is the work that I have been doing most recently in terms of helping educators on their career growth. And that is definitely my why. That excites me, it wakes me up every morning. And I always look for calls and emails from educators and aspiring school leaders, current school leaders that are having some challenges on their career path. And I'm just here to definitely support them on their journey.
Absolutely, and that's what this conversation is really all about. And you know, when we talked about getting together and to work on this influential educator mentoring program, it really was for the purpose of being able to work with other educators and to brainstorm, to talk about, to, you know, just talk about the different things that we're facing, but also come up with some strategic plans as to how we can overcome some of the challenges and continue to grow. So this is just one topic that we're talking about, today, but there's going to be many topics we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks, looking at things like our impact and connection and so on. And as part of this Influential Educator program, we really want to bring in as many people into the community as possible. This is not, just about the experiences of Principal Gordon and Kerry Martin. This is also about, elementary teachers. It's about high school teachers. It's about college educators, university educators, and not just those that are leading at the front of the classroom. Those that are in support roles, those who are involved in all aspects of the educational process. We certainly invite you in. So we're glad that you've been able to connect with this conversation, but we also wanted to let you know that we're going to be doing a lot more as the weeks and months go by. We're going to be sharing a lot more information about what we're going to be doing. But in particular, we're looking to have a number of calls where you're going to be able to get involved, to ask questions. And Principal Gordon and myself, we're going to work through things. We have a whole load of topics and conversation points about leadership and communication and resilience and productivity. So if you are interested in continuing to connect with us and being part of this discussion, for right now, we just invite you to send us an email and we'll share more information, but certainly look out for more of our videos and more of our content over the next few weeks, as we're only just beginning and there's lots more to come. Principal Gordon, anything you want to say as to wrap up?
Only thing I want to say is on the screen, we do have our email, the influentialeducator@gmail.com. Based on the conversation that you've heard from us at this period of time, send us some comments, some questions, and we definitely want to continuously respond to what you have to say about the work that is going to be happening through the Influential Educator mentoring program. Again, we thank you for listening and being a part of the audience and learning more about the program. And we're definitely looking forward to working with all of you. So thank you very much.
All right, have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.